Howdy friends! This is Chat Engine, widely known software primarily used for, well, cheating in games. Chances are you've at least heard of it or maybe even used it. Not gonna lie, I used it too a long time ago, back when I was a kid. What I did is I've played GTA SAMP with a speed hack to farm money much faster on a part-time job. But it would be wrong to say a chat engine is only used for cheats. Actually, it's also widely used to make mods for games, especially for those made with the Anvil engine. This includes Assassin's Creed franchise, Ghost Recon franchise and some other titles. Even I made a couple mods with it, and later in this video I'm going to showcase them. So today we're going to make some cheats from scratch, so you will understand the basics of memory scanning, finding addresses, Lua and ASM scripting and more. You'll get the idea of how it works and how cheats are made. And I'd also like to make it clear that I don't support cheating, especially when it comes to online games. However, I don't see anything wrong with using cheats for single-player games, or using a cheat engine for reverse engineering and debugging purposes. By the end of the day, it's only up to you to decide how to use this knowledge. Also, I have to warn you, if you decide to make or use cheats for online games, do it at your own risk, as it may result in a ban of your account, so please keep that in mind. And with that being said, let's dive in. Okay, so the very first thing you wanna do is to install Chat Engine software. Just make sure to download it only from the official website. Just in case, I leave a link in the description below. Next, launch Chat Engine. That's where the fun begins. Now the interface is divided into three main areas. Top left area contains a table that displays found addresses. The top right part is where your search parameters are located, and the bottom area contains so-called active addresses list. As a quick example, let's start a game. Counter-Strike 2 would be a good demo since it has both online and offline modes. Not gonna lie, you can simply run a training mode or any local map and do the cheating stuff. Most likely you will not be banned. But just to be sure, I'll advise you to run the game with insecure flag. You can do it in the Steam Game Properties menu. And here we are inside the game. As you see, I have a limited USB rounds, as well as limited spare rounds. These are two different places in memory. For example, let's try to make our pistol rounds infinite. For that, let's open up Cheat Engine and click on the button with the magnifying glass. A window with a list of launched applications will pop up. Here you need to select your game. In my case, it is Counter-Strike 2. Next, in the top right area where the search parameters is located, you wanna set search value to 12. That's the current value of USB pistol rounds in the game. And click the first scan button. Wait a few seconds, and here you go. Cheat Engine has found more than 500,000 addresses, and somewhere in this list there is only one address that we are looking for. So we must somehow narrow down this list. And actually, in order to do it, return to the game, shoot a bullet or two, and open up Cheat Engine again. But this time, change the search value to match the new value of USB pistol rounds. In my case, it's 11 bullets. And click the next scan button. After that, repeat the process until the number of addresses found stops decreasing noticeably. For me, it was around 30 addresses. And that's something we can work with. Now, let's select all found addresses with a hotkey Ctrl-A, right-click on them and select Add Selected Addresses to the address list. They will be added to the Active Addresses section below. Here we wanna narrow down the list even further. Remember, we need to leave only one active address containing the actual pistol rounds value. One way to do it is to manually freezing the addresses and then checking if it works in-game. To put it simple, we select half of active addresses and then press space on a keyboard to freeze them. Then we return to game and shoot a few bullets to check whether they infinite or not. If rounds is not infinite, then we return to Cheat Engine, unfreeze selected values again by pressing space on a keyboard and then delete them with a delete key. Otherwise, if rounds is infinite, that means we again return to Cheat Engine and unfreeze selected values the same way, but this time we delete the other half of addresses. This way we can narrow down the list quite fast, and in just a few minutes only bunch of addresses will be left. we can check them the same way and leave only one address. Now double click on this address name and let's name it pistol rounds. So whenever we freeze this address, we'll get unlimited pistol ammo in the game. Cool, huh? But that's only the beginning. Now let's try something cool in other game, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. If you don't own this game, don't worry, you can try it in similar games with third-person view, like Elden Ring, Dragon's Dogma, etc. I guess even GTA will do the job. First things first, as usual, start the game and select the game process in chat engine. After that, navigate to search parameters and here change the value type to float. Also set the scan type to unknown initial value and run the first scan. This way we'll search literally for any float value in the game. And in a few seconds you'll understand what we're looking for. Next, make sure to enable speed hack and set the value to around 25%. So the game will run much slower, thus we'll have enough time to do our cheaty-peaky stuff. Oh, and one more thing to do. Navigate to chat engine settings and inside hotkeys page, make sure to set two hotkeys for increased and for decreased value scanning. I've set mine to arrow keys on the keyboard. Now let's switch to the game, and what we're gonna do is jump up and down in the air and scan for increased and decreased values respectively. In other words, while our character is in mid-air right after the jump, press up arrow key and scan for increased value. Then, when it reaches the height of a jump, press down arrow key and scan for decreased value. While still falling, perform a decreased value scan again, if you are quick enough, that is. And once you land back on the ground, again press up arrow key to perform increased value scan. The way this works is because physics in most games increases the value of vertical velocity while we jump, and when we start to fall and as we fall, this value decreases. When the character falls back on the ground, the value goes to near zero value. Understanding how it works allows us to scan the memory, thus successfully search for the desired value. Repeat these steps continuously a few times until the number of addresses found stops decreasing noticeably. For me it was around 2700 addresses, and again that's something we can work with. Okay, next, as usual, we need to narrow down this list of addresses, and in order to do it we can use the same technique as previously, meaning we add all of 2700 addresses to the active addresses list below, and just like before we select them in batches, freeze them and check if the jump works in the game, and repeat it until we find only one address responsible for vertical velocity. It may sound ridiculous, but trust me, it works. You can safely freeze thousands of addresses, and most of the times it will not crash the game, but will allow you to understand whether the address that you are looking for is in the selected batch. Cheat engine also allows for browsing the memory of the game, and because values like velocity is usually stored in the memory close to each other, this means we can easily get the addresses of remaining velocity values. So when we will find only one address containing vertical velocity, we're gonna right click on this address and select browse this memory region. A window will pop up. Here we set display type to float, and over here two closest cells will be X and Z velocity values. We can now add them to the active addresses list without searching for them explicitly. And at this point we're pretty much done. Having the velocity values in the address list means we can modify their behavior however we want. As a quick example, we can attach the debugger to find out what writes to this address, then we disassemble the code and use auto assembly to attach AOB injection script. Here we modify a script behavior, adding a multiplication of these values, and finally assigning the script to our cheat engine table. Done. And inside the game, if we enable this script, our character will now start moving fast, like really fast. Although it looks fun, this is still a very basic example of what you can do with cheat engine. As you can see, it is possible to make more than just cheats, but also modify a game behavior in multiple ways, which is more likely modding rather than cheating. This is especially true when it comes to games like Ghost Recon Breakpoint, as one of the most popular mod for this game, Spartan mod, mode is purely made with cheat engine. And as I said earlier, even I made a mod for this game. It is called timescale mod. What it does is allows for changing the time in the game. With this mod you can make for example infinite nights, or just make day-night cycle to be longer. And one more thing to keep in mind is that the addresses that we have found is not static, meaning when you restart the game you'll have to do the scanning all over again. To avoid this you must find so-called static addresses, but it's rather boring process, so I'll just skip it for now. But if you're interested on how to do it, or maybe you want to learn cheat engine even further, then there is lots of tutorials here on YouTube, so feel free to watch them. Other than that, I hope you now understand how cheats are made and you'll got the basics of memory scanning. Make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel and leave a like. Also feel free to ask any questions in the comments below. Have a good day, and remember, never ever cheat in online games, because everyone deserves a fair play.